Before we talk about that, just a summary. What pseudo feedback does, if you try to code it up, this is what it would look like. You start with an original query, whatever that happened to be. You rank all the documents in the collection based on that query. You take a certain number n of the documents at the highest rank, so maybe you take top 10 documents in the ranking, and then you go into those documents and pick out from those 10 documents a certain number nw of words with the highest weights. Right? And the nd and nw can be different numbers, and the different numbers will work well for different scenarios. And how you assign the weights, again, that's up to you, but usually it is some derivative, it is some form of TF-IDF weighting, except now you have to combine it over a set of documents to determine which documents to pick, right? So you compute a weight for every one of the words, and then you pick a certain number of words, maybe 5 words with the highest weights. You add them to the original query that you had, and you rerun the query again. So this is basically a hacky re-description of what Rocchio pseudo feedback typically looks like. Now, why does it work? Right? What if I didn't play? What if I placed the pluses and the minuses differently, and the top-ranked documents were actually non-relevant? Wouldn't it totally screw up the method? And the surprising answer is no, it doesn't. And this has to do with a couple of things. So if you're familiar with regularization and with graph-based methods, pseudo-feedback is a form of regularization over a manifold formed by the documents, and you know that regularization in most cases is good. Now, if you don't think in terms of regularization and manifolds, here's another way to think about why pseudo-feedback actually works. And the interpretation has to do with redundancy. So what you're assuming when you're doing pseudo-feedback, you got a query, you got a ranking of documents. Some of those documents are going to be relevant, some of them are going to be non-relevant. What you are assuming is that there is one way to be relevant to the user's information need. Right? The user is looking for something specific. That is one very specific thing. But there is lots and lots of ways to be non-relevant to the query. So what you expect is you expect relevant documents to be more consistent with each other and non-relevant documents to be all over the place. So what you're doing by this technique, when you start throwing together all of the top-ranked documents into one big bucket, the words from the relevant documents will tend to reinforce each other, because they will keep appearing again and again and again in the top-ranked documents. And the words from the non-relevant documents, they'll be all over the place. So they'll pull your vector in various directions, and hopefully in the end might cancel each other out. So here's a quick example. Right? So suppose I'm searching for a fish tank, and these are this is the ranking that I get, and documents 2, 4, and 7 are relevant, and the rest are non-relevant. So again, this is an anecdotal example. I just made it to work that way. But what you will see here is the words from the relevant documents, they will repeat, and their frequency overall will be a lot higher than any of the words from the non-relevant documents. So that's one way to think about why pseudo-feedback, which on the surface is a totally senseless technique, why does it actually work? And it does work quite effectively, by the way.